Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter, and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Volume 8 of Jujutsu Kaisen. This volume picked up right where the previous one ended. As expected, I think, for me who didn't know what was coming at least, the fight that was happening ended pretty quickly. And it then gave us a little bit more content before going into a flashback arc of sorts, it feels like, focusing on Gojo's high school days. And now, for me who hasn't seen the anime yet, I will. And at this point, I definitely will soon. But for me who hasn't seen it, I assume season 1 ended pretty shortly after that fight with the death painting wounds.
I can't remember fully. I thought that Chozo actually didn't even appear, but according to the wiki, it said that yes, he appeared in the final episode. It's like, okay, well,
Okay.
I totally forgot about him.
I guess it may have been that brief little scene with him and Geto and...
It was so short. I don't even remember them playing that game.
Gotcha.
So it's like, what? But I think they had the finger eating part in the anime, but then
That
they
makes
kind of
sense.
just like smile, and then they're all of a sudden in Shinjuku or Shibuya or something, and they're like, well, this really was Jujutsu Kaisen. Smile, and that was it.
What?
And I honestly, I kid you not, I remember I watched this like, that was it? That's how it ends? I think it soured me just a little bit.
Oh.
Not, I get why. I get, because there's so much more. How do you end the season off?
Yeah.
But to me, it was such a turnoff. I almost was like, no, I don't. I think it lowered my impressions of the whole thing.
Interesting.
But as I've said before, Jujutsu Kaisen 0 changed that, and this reread has also changed that. So
that's cool.
I feel good about that. I don't know how you do it differently, to be honest.
Right, yeah, I'm sure it's probably hard. And because I was obviously, when I was reading this volume, because I knew it was somewhere around here that anime season 1 would be ending. And yeah, I also couldn't really see like a perfect, I guess, season finale thingy in here.
Right.
I did assume, though, that Yuko's introduction was not in season 1. Is that right?
No.
So she didn't appear at all.
No idea.
Right, so I guess it cut off basically right before her introduction would have happened, I suppose, in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And as of this episode's release, I believe season 2 of the anime premiered yesterday.
Did it really?
As of this episode's release.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
Not of us recording.
My bad.
So that is pretty exciting. Hopefully I'll have watched the movie and the season 1 before then, so I can enjoy the anime season 2 as it airs.
Mm-hmm.
And our episode releases will be a little bit, I think right now at the start of this season airing, it will be kind of at the same point roughly for a little while, but we should be pulling ahead, or ahead of the anime soon enough with our manga discussions. So that is good.
Yeah, it'll happen eventually.
It will. Absolutely.
Sooner than it was going to, so I'm grateful for that.
Yes, same here. But now we are caught up and beyond caught up to where you knew anything since before we started this manga series or reading it for the podcast. So you can fully chime in onto predictions, and you don't have to limit yourself with anything you say anymore. So that is
right.
That is lovely. I'm very glad. Like, it's always exciting when we reach that point in any of our manga podcasts.
Yeah, I agree.
So now we are on the exact same page. But without further ado, let's dig into the character discussions this time, starting with Yuji Itadori. So he saw the death painting room. I don't remember his name, but the one with the thing on its back. He saw that it was crying when its brother died, which seemed to really affect Yuji. Plus, also realizing that they weren't actually cursed spirits.
Right.
Kind of seemed to get him down a bit for a while.
I mean, yeah, he had the same kind of apprehensions the beginning of this series or story, where Mahito had turned those people into the curse things.
Precisely.
So yeah, it's definitely something that he is still not comfortable with.
Yeah. So it's good to actually see that it's still something that he's struggling with, because back in the instance that you mentioned when he was fighting Mahito's like the warped humans, it seemed like, or at least to me, it seemed to some extent at least, like Yuji was kind of getting over that struggle in a way during the fight, because he did in the end kill them. But I kind of appreciate that it's not fully resolved for him. He's still struggling with it, which makes a lot of sense, especially when you see like them showing emotion like that. It definitely makes sense for him to feel that way.
Yeah, and this is also this is after the fact that we had him dealing with the death of Junpei. So I think that kind of adds an extra layer to his apprehensions.
True.
In a way.
Yeah.
Granted, he did not know these people when they were fully human, but he still has that very humankind soul to him.
Definitely. But yeah, he did consume that Sukuna finger, though not by choice this time.
Not intentionally.
And I feel like I've lost count now for how many fingers he's consumed so far. Have you been keeping count?
I forget.
Yeah. I guess if any listener knows how many fingers he has consumed at this point in the story, then feel free to let us know, either in the YouTube comments or on Discord.
Is it 3?
I feel like it's more, but I could be wrong. I could be very wrong.
Because he ate the first one, and then Gojo gave him another one.
Yeah, he got like the first 2 pretty quickly after each other, I believe.
There may have been another one in between, so I think it's either 3 or 4. I don't think it's been that many.
That may be.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to try to figure this out somehow before the next recording.
Speed read.
So hopefully we can resolve it then.
Yeah, because you can't really go online and be like, how many fingers has Yuji eaten?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's
that
too
will
risky.
Not go well.
No. Certainly not. Actually, since I'm planning on watching season 1 of the anime soon, maybe that'll be a good refresher for me to kind of keep count of that again.
Good idea.
So maybe I'll do that. But yeah, I thought it was really nice to see how Yuji was able to recognize Yuko at the diner, even though she had gone through quite a transformation. And also, like, just this, I guess the flashback that we got from Yuko to their junior high days, I don't know, it was just, I guess it adds to Yuji's just sweet, kind of nice, kind personality, in how
down to earth, yeah.
And how even though he clearly has a physical type, which we know kind of what that is, Jennifer Lawrence. But that's not everything that he wants from a person that he's with. It's also the other things, like how they move or how they act, is clearly also a big thing. And so I appreciated seeing that side of Yuji as well through that flashback. It shows, I guess, a maturity that I didn't necessarily know that he had, I guess. So I think that's nice.
I guess you could argue that when he was hanging out with what were they, the occult club or something like that?
Oh yeah.
He was kind of already seeing the true side and the good qualities in people that maybe other people, would say otherwise. But I think it's very sweet that he didn't join in on, not to say that people were obviously bullying her, but I'm sure she had self-confidence issues, and I mean, right. I know I did at that time.
Right.
So yeah, I think just having anybody who shows that you care about them is pretty great, and
for sure.
And I don't think he was being mean and all, because there could be those people who use that just to be mean, but that's just not who he is.
No, absolutely. No, he's such a genuine, kind guy. He really is.
Right. Right. And I love how he recognizes her
Yeah,
uh,
precisely.
even after that change. It's granted, it's only been like half a year.
True, but she really had changed. Like,
You're right. You're right. She had changed quite a bit.
I guess puberty does that.
Yeah.
But was that all on Yuji?
There's something I said here. I think I was falling asleep as I wrote it because it says, "Who's to see ally wind kill somebody in the future?"
What?
And the crazy thing is, I remember typing the somebody in the future part because I reread it, like half my eyes half open. I was like, oh, that last part's wrong. And I retyped it and then I passed out. So, but I can't remember for the life of me
Wow.
what I was trying to say. It may have been maybe there was a line. Sounds like who's to say he wouldn't wind up killing somebody in the future, but
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If
who am I
if
talking about,
saving someone, because Sukuna said that to Yuji, if like who's to say someone you save won't end up killing someone in the future?
Oh yeah. What was the context for that?
Well, it's because of how I think because it's something that Yuji and Megumi were both kind of talking about, although on in different scenes. How Megumi was telling Nobara to keep it a secret that he had pieced it together that once
Right.
when he ate the first finger, it kind of activated, quote unquote, the rest of the fingers.
Uh-huh.
But Yuji and Sukuna also came to the same conclusion, though in a different scene. And like for similar reasons, I assume both of them wanted to keep it a secret from the other because it would weigh the other person down, like with like a guilty conscience, because the first finger was eaten to save Megumi, and it was eaten through the choice of Yuji. So kind of it makes sense for both of them to feel guilty about that first finger being eaten.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. I still don't understand why I put it down. I guess I thought it was an interesting point to make.
I mean, it is interesting how I don't know. It was interesting to have that little dialogue with Sukuna, I thought.
Yeah.
Very well then. Let us talk a bit about Yuko Ozawa next, actually.
All right.
This girl who liked Yuji since junior high, and yeah, as I said, that went through quite the transformation over summer. And good thing Yuji is into tall girls, I guess.
I mean, yeah. That is quite fortuitous for her,
Mm-hmm.
So her genes got her back on in that sense.
Definitely.
And she's really tall. I'm curious how tall she is. Although sometimes you have characters in manga or anime that are like, "Oh wow, you're so tall," and they're like only like American terms, 5'6", 5'7",
right? Yeah.
Not even as tall as me, and I'm considered below average.
But yeah, no, she looks like in basically the complete opposite of what she did in like before summer, basically. Like, not even her hair is particularly similar, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, transformations from middle school to high school can be pretty drastic.
It definitely can.
Just one summer, it's like boom.
For sure. For sure. I definitely had a summer like that where I went from like before summer break I was like one of the shortest guys in my class, and my hair was super straight and kind of medium brown shade, and my voice was like super high pitched. I was actually like slightly teased for having a very high pitched voice before puberty. But then after summer break I came back to school and I was among the taller guys in class. My hair had gotten much darker and kind of wavy, and my voice was deepest out of all of the boys in school. So I had a very like short and intense puberty, kind of. So I can kind of relate to her thing here, maybe. But yes,
that's great. I just want to say that this chapter, I mean, I thought it was fun. Actually, a lot of fun. It's really funny. Just their whole reactions, on point.
Definitely.
But I wasn't entirely sure what the point of the chapter was for the story, other than being just lighthearted fun. I mean, it's fine. It's just lighthearted fun, but am I supposed to take anything serious out of this chapter?
That is the question. Yeah. Like I enjoyed like the parts of it how we got to see like uh Yoko's kind of internal monologues and how struggling with confessing your feelings. Of course that's hard. Even though maybe you're more confident in the way you look, it's still hard to do that. So like how she in the end never did anything, totally understandable, and I kind of enjoyed that little conflict, I guess. But I'm also curious as to see kind of what role she will play in the story here, if any, I guess. Um, I guess I kind of assumed she would be playing a role because otherwise, like, why introduce her here? And or,
I agree.
I guess it's strange
why
to
introduce
begin with.
Yuko?
It's strange. It's strange to introduce her like right before this lengthy flashback.
Right. Like if there was more chapters with her, then
Mm.
I'd more assume that she'd have a longer role, but it almost seems like she's one and done. Now, granted, this is a flashback, so we can come back to the modern day, and maybe she's back and trying to woo Itadori. But
Yeah.
at this point, it's I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting choice to just have that brief little introduction and then immediately go to something entirely different.
I almost wonder if this chapter was more so for Yuji and partly Nobara
Right.
than actually Yuko herself.
That's definitely a possibility. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, we already talked about the Yuji part, but
Right. But for Yuko, like part of me had like a mixture of like feeling worried about her combined with feeling a bit suspicious of her because she kind of came out of the blue.
Oh man!
With all this and like so, part of me felt like, oh, is she fishy?
Oh no! I mean, that would be great for the story, but no.
But another part of me felt like if this ship is not gonna happen, because I don't really
the Yuko Yuji ship.
Yeah, right. If it's not going to happen, which because I'm definitely not confident in it, given it's only been one chapter, but
yeah,
then I'm a little bit worried for her because she is she gonna get heartbroken, and that's there's a little bit of that, but then there's yet another part of me who's just kind of excited to see some romance drama, even though it was brief.
Yeah,
It's something that I definitely welcome, and I would love for her to return and for this little thing that's happening in this chapter to continue in future chapters as well.
Yeah, I like it too. I think any sort of little bit of romance. I mean, it's fun. Maybe it's because I'm a single lonely man, but seeing this kind of stuff it's fun.
Yeah.
But the way it ends, just granted, she did get his contact information. Or no, she got Nobata's contact information.
That's right. So yeah, she's not out of the picture completely, kind of. Hopefully.
You're right. She's not out of the picture. I mean, it would be better if she had Yuji's contact information.
Yeah.
Regardless, that's cool. That's all I have on Ozawa as of right now.
That's fair. Last thing I'll just share briefly on her was I was really when I saw her initially, I thought she looked like the monk kid that we saw briefly in the previous volume. Like there was a.
That's where I thought you were gonna go with this. Yeah, that's where I thought you were going with it.
So I thought I believe my first time reading the volume, I thought it was that kid. And I think maybe that's why I got these initial thoughts of maybe suspicion or slight suspicion. But then today when I reread the volume, I went back and compared her design here and to the design of the monk kid in the previous one, and I don't think they're the same.
Okay, gotcha.
The hair was different enough that I would categorize them as different characters. Though they do look very similar, at least in like without colors, they definitely look very similar.
But is the monk kid tall? Like, well, comparatively speaking,
it's
hard to say.
Yeah, there wasn't like a clear image of that. There were only like two panels, one of like just the face and one of the character from like slightly behind, and it's kind of hard to tell height and stuff.
Yeah, good point.
But I don't think they are because the hair to me looked quite different, similar but not the same.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I don't think it is. Though I guess it could be interesting if it was. Because we haven't, yeah, this volume didn't give us anything about that monk kid.
Yeah. No, I mean, it would be interesting if she turned out to be more than just a middle school friend. Whether it be, she's actually on the curse side, or which, I mean, I doubt it, but I do think it'd be interesting. Or she becomes maybe but a bit of a cliche, a damsel in distress type situation where someone realizes she's close with Yuji. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but maybe the relationship escalates at some point.
Fair.
And then she becomes a liability.
Yeah.
But that's all just really grasping at straws, speculation.
Fair.
So.
Right. Yeah. No.
We shall see.
Could go in any direction, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Or no direction at all.
Oh, true. Yeah. Very well. Next, let's talk a bit about Nobara Kugisaki.
I think this is a good transition. As I mentioned, this chapter with Ozawa felt more so of a focus on Yuji and Kubisaki. I think that Nobara is a very interesting character in that I don't think she knows exactly. Like, she says, like, I know what I want, but does she really? Like, and I'm not saying like, oh man, I totally ship her with Yuji or anything like that. I think, as we've said in the past, they have such a great friendship that I think it's a relationship that could work out. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I'm not confident in necessarily wanting it or shipping it.
Mm-hmm.
But this chapter did seem a little suspicious in a couple moments.
Yeah.
Where she had the heart palpitation, her heart skipped a beat.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
And then there is a moment where Ozawa comments, it's like, wow, you're so casual with him, which to me seems like she thought they were very close.
Right.
Close for a guy and a girl. Now, to be fair, this is Nobara we're talking about. That's just her personality. So I don't read too much into that one. But it's fair to bring up that Ozawa commented on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end, she kind of makes an excuse for why she felt that way. It didn't seem all that convincing, although I'm sure she herself felt convinced. The way that Megumi acted, although he's Squidward, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like he totally bought it either. And of course, Yuji was just delusional to the whole thing anyway. So I don't know. Like, these, it's really hard for me to ship these two because both of them seem just kind of delusional. Like I said, like out of it. Like they don't care about that kind of stuff, really. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not confident in shipping anything for these guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely fair. There's barely anything to grab on for shipping, so that it's fair. Although, like as you said, like
I have been known to ship for less, though. I will say that.
but it's true that this chapter gave something to grab on for shipping.
Yeah.
We didn't. I don't think we had anything at all before, but now we have something from Nobara's end of it, at least.
Yeah.
Because yes, she's in denial about it. She isn't recognizing her feelings, probably. At least we are reading it as she has some unrecognized feelings for Yuji of some sort. But
yeah,
I guess first of all, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, and secondly, she definitely isn't seeing it herself. So it'll take a lot for her to see it or to feel that, I guess.
Right. It just feels like an odd thing to bring up. I mean, I wouldn't want to see a heartbreak kind of a situation where Nobara gets the guy that she had been crushing on. Like that.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of mean.
It doesn't really seem. If it does come to it that both Nobara and Yuko have feelings for him, I'm quite certain that Nobara is gonna quote unquote win by the end.
I mean, yeah.
Moving on with other Nobara stuff, then.
Yes.
I don't think she noticed that the death painting woman was crying when Yuji saw it. So I guess it makes sense that she is not as affected, or she wasn't as affected as Yuji was. But still, I really liked that the talk that she had with Yuji about it,
Yeah.
and how I don't know. It seems like she just kind of accepts that these sorts of things are just part of the job as a Jujutsu sorcerer,
Mm.
which was also like similarly to how I feel like got to see a new mature side of Yuji in this volume. I think this is a new mature side of Nobara that we got, which I really appreciated.
Yeah. I really like that couple pages where it's kind of back and forth of the panels. Like one side was Nobata, the other side was Yuji.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Hmm.
I hadn't really seen that before, although I wouldn't be surprised if someone had done it
Right. Right.
previously. But it was very interesting, and it was also good dialogue. Like pretty important for both those characters. While Yuji was reeling from that interaction, and trying to see how Nobata was feeling, she was explaining herself why you kind of got to, at least for me, turn off those emotions in this line of work. And I see both their points.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a nice little bonding moment, I think.
Yeah.
Very well. Anything else on Nobara?
No.
Next, let's talk about Satoru Gojo.
Flashback time.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess he did have a little bit of time in the present, but mostly for this volume, it's his flashback stuff, right?
Exactly. Definitely. There were only a very small portion of the whole volume was in the present day. But out of the little that we did get from him in present day before we went into the flashbacks was a part when he said when he was talking to Utahime on the phone, he said that he can't drink alcohol, which I reacted to as seeming a bit odd, and it got me wondering if maybe that's because since he's so powerful, it's really risky if he should get drunk, because then he might lose control over his powers and he could accidentally cause destruction or something like that, just because he's so strong.
Hmm.
But it was a very just kind of pass by comment by him, so it could be anything, I guess. And maybe we're not supposed to read into it. Maybe it's just maybe he didn't mean I can't drink. Maybe he just meant that he doesn't drink because he doesn't want to. I don't know. But yes, the flashbacks, the really main part of the main chunk of the volume. Really nice to see some Gojo focus in this way. Like he really kind of plays a main character, like kind of the main character in a way for that part.
Yeah.
Which really
Yeah.
enjoy. And seeing him at the age when that Yuji and the others are roughly, it's just fun.
Unsurprisingly, he's a bit of a cocky guy.
Yeah. It makes sense.
And really immature. I mean, he's complaining about it's a pain to look after the weak. I don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like modern day Gojo would have that strong of emotions about protecting the weak.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. So so it's definitely interesting to see the similarities, but also these things that probably aren't the same anymore.
Like what exactly changed for him?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maturity happens gradually over time, of course, but was there an event that we're about to see maybe
Right.
that made him change his mind about that?
I kind of hope so. And really, the same thing can be said for Geto. But
Yeah.
obviously, we'll
Oh
talk
yeah.
about him later. But really, both
Yeah.
of them have changed a lot since these flashbacks. In fact, I was thinking while I was reading it that if I only read those flashbacks and I would guess which one of the two would become a villain later on, I would probably guess Gojo. If I didn't know anything, like just comparing the two out of what we see in the flashback.
Interesting.
Because I don't know, Geto seems like almost more of a good guy here than Gojo does.
So Gojo, they say he has six eyes, limitless curse technique. Did we know that specifically?
The six eyes thing, no.
Yeah, six eyes seems like we knew of his technique, but I wasn't sure if we knew it was called limitless.
No.
Maybe we did.
I don't think so.
Mm.
I don't think we'd heard like a word for his technique or techniques. Or...
I heard infinity thrown around.
Precisely, yeah, that's definitely been used. But
I
yeah,
don't remember limitless.
it seems
Or six eyes.
right. Yeah, no, I believe both of those are new for this volume. So it was interesting to get a little bit more insight into his abilities, but I still thought it was a bit messy with all of it, and maybe that's the point for it to be
Maybe
I mean, I guess it reflects his character nicely, just in being
Mm,
messy like that.
mm,
But
mm.
maybe it's also supposed to be a bit hard to comprehend because he's just so powerful. There was actually a page between two of the chapters where Akutami even admitted to it being a bit convoluted, in how the jujutsu system for Gojo worked.
You know, if you're gonna be that OP, I guess you gotta make it complicated.
Yeah, right.
I did like seeing him try to explain his technique and all the training he has to do and everything. And then when he goes to do one of his techniques, he fails.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was a bit of a brief moment of humanity
Yeah.
for someone who had seemed perfect in our, the previous volumes,
True.
So to see that he used to be this student who was learning is kind of is nice for his character,
Mm,
and also comedic.
absolutely.
But yeah, at the same time, at this age, he's almost there practically, still mastering a few things, but
Yeah,
he's still very OP.
definitely. And he knows it. So that makes him very cocky.
Yeah, indeed. I guess fast forwarding to the very end,
Yes,
the whole Okinawa thing. I guess we could talk about that trip
for sure.
in general later, but
Um, uh,
or now. I don't care.
or whichever to me.
I guess it just the importance of that trip, or the reason why they had that trip for the story,
Mm.
was to tire him out, I guess.
It seems that way. Yeah.
And his assailant, or the person who's trying to get after the Star Platinum or Star Plasma child, Fushiguro, seems to know Gojo, and maybe even predicted that he would be this kind towards the Star Plasma child.
Yeah.
Because he knew that he would tire himself out. I guess that's part of the reason why he sent that is the reason why he sent them to Okinawa. So he had to know that Gojo would have gone to extra lengths to babysit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Very interesting. I guess that should have been more Fushiguro, but
All good.
I was just more so interested by the fact that he was so exhausted. Otherwise, that never would have happened to Gojo.
Definitely. And like that was most likely, or at least part of the downfall at the end, or kind of the reason for it at the end. Like, yeah, if he hadn't been so worn out, then he would have probably noticed Fushiguro coming at him. Although
Mm-hmm.
there's more to it than that, I think.
Good point. Good point.
I think, yeah, we'll talk about that when we talk about Fushiguro, but definitely him being worn out definitely played a big role in, or played a big part in that thing going to shit.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about Fushiguro. Whatever his first name is, because it hasn't been mentioned, has it? Or
I don't think so, unless it was mentioned previous.
yeah, I don't remember anything like that. So
Fushiguro, formerly known as Zenin.
precisely, yes. And Megumi's dad.
Not a very good one at that.
No, yeah, like he was like, who's that? Like, what, dude?
Right. Ridiculous. Now, there is part of me that wonders if it's just a weird quirk by him that he just struggles to remember people's names, even his own child, that he named, because when he stabs Gojo, he's like, I don't expect you to remember some random guy's or every guy's name that you come across.
Yeah, fair.
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 So I don't know if that's just a thing for him,
yeah.
or if he truly is just a terrible father.
Right.
I mean, I could see it being both.
Definitely. Like, yeah, for sure. And he seems to already have a reputation as a sorcerer killer. At least,
yeah,
the guy from the Time Vessel Association refers to him as sorcerer killer while they're talking, and I don't know, that just kind of makes him really scary to me, because I don't know, it seems like he hasn't probably just killed one, but probably at least a few already.
I mean, yeah, the way he orchestrated this whole thing, at first it kind of seemed he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah,
but
right.
He got his man, right? He got who he was at least targeting, who he had to take care of first.
Yeah.
So that I mean, of course we know Gojo's not dead.
Precisely, yeah.
That's the thing. We know he's not dead. So in some way, Fushiguro fails.
Yeah, on some level.
On some level. I mean, we don't know. I mean, he could. I mean, the point was not to kill Gojo. Really.
No, but even Tengen in present day, we know Tengen is supposedly around as well. So
good point.
So yeah, he probably must have failed altogether in some way. But yeah, like we talked about how he managed to stab Gojo, and yeah, and how that specific part of it is definitely very likely due to Gojo's being tired at that point. But that's not even the only remarkable thing. It's the fact that he also managed to get inside of the barrier at Jujutsu High,
right?
Which is also remarkable and terrifying. Like the fact that he managed to do that, which is supposedly like it shouldn't be doable at all. So and we don't know yet why he was able to do that or how. So yeah, hopefully we'll find out about that in the next volume. And then there's also the fact that Gojo seemed to recognize Fushiguro. So they may have had some kind of run into each other before at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or maybe Gojo just is familiar with him because he comes from a famous Jujutsu sorcerer family.
I wouldn't be surprised if they met each other at one point.
Yeah, I feel like that's
acquaintances.
Probably a little more likely. Like yeah, just like a brief meeting at some point.
Maybe Fushiguro killed a sorcerer that he knew.
Right.
And they briefly saw faces before.
Maybe.
Fleeing.
That would make it more personal for Gojo there, and I think that would be a lot of fun for the next volume if we got some of that.
Mm.
But anything else on Daddy Fushiguro?
No.
Then let's talk a bit about Suguru Geto.
I mean, as we mentioned before, what happened to him?
Precisely.
Like he used to be this person who thought very differently about the world and how the strong should protect the weak, and that's what Jujutsu sorcery is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Is protecting those who don't have it. And yet we see in Zero, he's trying to create a world for just Jujutsu sorcerers. Or sorcerers, whatever the term is. So what happened? And is this the event that changes his mindset forever? Or is there something more sinister at play? I don't know.
Precisely.
And so the reason why you were mentioning like, oh, I could see him being the good guy in a story. The reason why I didn't think so, and this may have been tainted because what I already know, is there's that moment where what's her name gets, what was her name?
Riko? Or
Misato?
Oh, Misato.
Where she gets hit in the head or something and kidnapped. And Geto was not there.
Yeah.
And the way he brushes it off or it makes an excuse for it is like, oh, I was just, I told her to stay there, or, I'd run off, it's like, it seems a little fishy. I don't know if they can be in cahoots at all, but I think part of it is indeed that I have apprehensions about the guy, but yeah, that did seem a little fishy. Regardless, it does seem like he has good intentions at this point in his life. So I'm very curious to see how those change.
Right, because I was wondering if either we're going to see this change, like of sorts, happening, as you've been saying, which it would make sense if it was this event kind of that did make some kind of shift in him. Though I was also thinking, like, what if he already has some kind of darkness inside of him, which he's just doing a really good job hiding?
Right.
At the point of the flashback. And that maybe doesn't necessarily take anything specific to turn him, but he's already kind of quote unquote evil, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's either that or there will be a shift, I feel like. But
yeah.
But yeah, like I for one, or obviously it's hard to say for sure how I would read this character if I didn't know anything about him. I can't say for sure that I would fall for him, but I think spontaneously at least, I feel like I believe I would fall for this guy or kind of assume he's a good guy if I just read this and nothing else.
Right. What would be interesting, and going to bringing up your point about how he could already have those evil ideas.
Uh-huh.
This could just be a facade. And then my point about him kind of seeing suspicious at that one moment.
Oh yeah.
It could be that he's in cahoots with Fushiguro in some way, and that's why Fushiguro was able to get into the school ground or whatever, that barrier, whatever it is,
Right.
because Geto is able to let it in somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they have to gain for working with each other, but there's also the point where Misato says she doesn't remember exactly how she got kidnapped or what happened.
True,
that
was
a little fishy.
That's true.
Up.
That's a good point. Yeah, that was definitely fishy.
And she talked to Geto about it, so it's kind of like, so. Anyway, just some other food for the fire.
True. I want to comment though on the idea that it may have been Geto who somehow helped Fushiguro to get inside of the barrier. That was something that occurred to me as well as maybe a thing that could have been the case. But then on it's the second to last page. On the panel in the corner, we see Geto's face look like it's right after the stabbing, and we see his face look genuinely surprised. I think with the word impossible. Like it's like he seemed genuinely surprised to me that Fushiguro came in there and stabbed Gojo. So with that, I don't think he's responsible for helping him in.
Acting?
I guess it could be. I guess it could be. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I think that is a very good point. And I'm not like totally sold on the fact, it was Geto who did it. But yeah, I think that if he does have evil intentions, and it's not necessarily that he's in cahoots with Fushiguro.
Right.
Although it could be, but I don't necessarily think that's the case.
Yeah. Next up, let's talk a bit about Riko Amanai, the star plasma vessel who supposedly becomes the new Tengen by the end, due to how the immortality works for Tengen.
I feel bad for this character, but at the same time, she's really taking it in an open-minded approach to it and everything. So I think that kind of makes what probably typically would have been a sad story a little more, I guess, lighthearted, but not. I mean, it's still very serious, but it's easier to swallow.
Yeah, and I mean, her whole attitude about it definitely makes it feel less heavy.
Yes.
And the fact that she got to really enjoy her last couple days, like to the fullest, I think also helps make it easier. Obviously, right now where the story left off, the last few pages, obviously that's kind of rough. But but like up until then, she was having a great time for a few days.
Going to Okinawa was one of the biggest whiplashes I've had reading manga. Just okay, you better be serious here. Like you cannot go back on this. And the next page, Okinawa. It's like, what? Whiplash. Like, whoa. But no, it was great. It was kind of funny seeing going to the aquarium, very famous aquarium in Okinawa with the whale sharks, going to see that and playing with the sea cucumbers and eating the soba, it was cool.
Yeah, very nice. And yeah, like I'm just assuming, because since we haven't seen Tengen in present day, but we know that Tengen is around in present day. So I just assume that the merging with Riko does go through.
Unless there's a new vessel somehow, but I agree.
But it seemed like this was a really rare occasion, kind of, for a vessel like this to appear. So
was it like 500 years or something?
It seemed like something like that. So yeah, I guess that whole thing will go over fine.
So no need to worry.
Precisely. I'm sure everyone will live happily. Well, is that all on Riko?
Yes.
Then a little bit on Misato Kuroi. She's really fond of Riko, and apparently she comes from a long line of aides for that star plasma vessel. And it said on her character bio page that she is super good at Mario Kart.
Did it really?
So, yeah.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
Dang it. Well, I want to get to know Misato.
Yeah. Same.
Is she still alive, please?
Yeah, please.
She's not real. Shut up.
Please let her be alive after this flashback.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I'm very. Maybe it was nothing, but it was very odd that she couldn't remember, how she was kidnapped. Maybe it has something to do with the curse user who was able to clone himself. I don't know, but it does seem like an odd thing to bring up. So
Yeah.
we'll see. And the fact that she's so close to Riko, it could be a emotional kill, emotional death to have. So I could see that. But at the end of the day, I would like them to have their final moments together.
Yeah.
The moment before she becomes Tengen.
Precisely.
I think that'd be nice.
Would be very nice. And hey, like, what if she could just stay with the new Tengen? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, her job is caretaker. I mean,
precisely. And while it's not going to be Riko anymore, maybe she. I mean, I could understand if she would still like to care for that new person that she becomes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll see.
Unless she's dead.
Unless she's dead.
But
unless Fushiguro kills her, or Getzo, or I mean, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Well. Anything else on her?
No.
All right then, let's dive into predictions together this time.
Hooray!
Although, as usual, I believe, or at least I've already sprinkled some of mine throughout the discussion, which is fine. But what I got left is about the flashbacks that are happening right now. To me, it feels like an arc of sorts, and not just like a temporary thing. So I feel like these flashbacks are going to continue for a while. Or I mean, definitely for a little bit, but I feel like it's going to last for at least the next volume. But the existence of these flashbacks also kind of make me feel even more confident about my old prediction that the villains will succeed in sealing Gojo, because I don't know, this kind of sudden character focus that he's getting, it seems like a typical kind of thing in some stories where a character gets this type of focus leading up to their death, or I guess in this case, the sealing of Gojo on Halloween, supposedly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely feeling like that's going to happen.
You're right. I think that this is a good, or not a good sign, but a sign that could be coming up shortly.
For sure. So this is his little send-off arc, I suppose you could say, maybe. Although again, I don't think he's going to die. He's going to be sealed, so he's probably going to come back at some point, maybe near the end of the story. I don't think he's going to die.
No.
The villains aren't strong enough to kill him. Do you get any predictions?
I'm just wondering about the mole.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a character that is kind of inconspicuous. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. There was a character introduced along with Nanami. Like, it was funny seeing Nanami all edgy teenager. Like, yeah.
That was definitely fun.
Very fitting. But there was a character, a chippy one. I don't recall if we had seen him as an adult.
Yeah.
Had we?
I didn't recognize that character at all. It seemed like a new character to me.
Yeah, so I wonder, could he be the mole? Like, it could be this whole, he's really chippy, but in fact, he actually is working with the bad guys.
Definitely possible. Though if it is him, I kind of wish we would have seen him in present day as well, because I like it when, like, I guess the traitors or whatever, the infiltrators have been around from the start, kind of. Those are usually the most fun twists, I think.
Yeah, I guess. It depends on how well the character is written.
True.
It has to feel believable. Otherwise, it just kind of feels like thrown in at the last minute. Like
definitely, yeah.
Gotcha, instead of an actually good twist.
Definitely.
But not to say that couldn't happen here. So maybe it is someone that we know. But I don't know.
Hmm.
That was just a thought I had.
Yeah.
And then I've already mentioned that I think that Misato could die.
Yeah, she's like the only one in the group currently that supposedly could, kind of, right? Because everybody else,
Right.
we kind of know that they'll make it. Yeah.
I wanna stand by my prediction that we will see Geto, either he revealing his true colors and he was actually faking it the whole time, or something will happen in this flashback that will change him to rethink his entire life.
Precisely.
I stand by that. Something will happen this arc,
Right.
whether it be a big reveal or a change.
I definitely second that.
I mean, it has to, right? I guess that's more obvious than a prediction.
I feel like that's one of the big purposes maybe with this flashback arc, is to kind of show that, in addition to obviously kind of showing Gojo as well and everything like that. But yeah,
Right.
it's their arc. I feel like they kind of share it so far. What about Daddy Fushiguro? Do you think he will die here, or do you think he'll make it?
It's a good question.
I could see him dying in this arc, because, well, we haven't seen him in present day.
Right. I kind of think he is going to die.
Mm.
So maybe that's two characters that will die.
Mm.
Just because I mean, I guess he's a terrible father, as we suspect, so it wouldn't be surprising if he just is out of Megami's life, but you don't hear anything about his father in the present day, so it does seem like someone who'd be dead. So I'm on the he's dead camp.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna say he's more likely to die than Misato.
I disagree.
You think she's more likely to die?
I mean, look, I'll eat crow, but I think she's more likely to die.
Gotcha. I mean, I definitely could see both of them, but if only one of them dies, I'm gonna say it's Daddy Fushiguro. It's fun to have contrasting predictions also.
Right, exactly. And, when we come back and record, we'll laugh at the other person who was wrong.
Or we'll laugh at both of us because none of them died or something.
I could see that happening.
We shall see.
Why are you so obsessed with death? I don't know. It's emotional.
It's one of the big things that one predicts about for some reason. But I think I am all dry on predictions.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
No more death predictions to call.
No.
Very well. On that note, we're ending the episode. If you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel, Umami Manga, on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 9. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye, my best friendo! The ball guy in the first Iron Man movie. Gosh, what was his name?
Obadiah Stane.
Oh, dang! How did you just whip that out, man?
That's
Jeez.
Marvel movies. I've seen them many times.
No hesitation.